So Onslaught is happening right now. It has been for about 2 weeks now. So the Azure Pegasus is what it's called this season. You will then get another 2 seasons which follow on from that, and then you'll get some annual rewards at the end depending on how you place in these 3 seasons. I'm going to be giving you a quick guide to this event and how it all works for the annual rewards. I understand that this is slightly late, so maybe this is not the best timing, considering that you might not be able to get all the rewards now, because if you didn't know about this before, then you otherwise wouldn't be able to get the maximum reward out of this season. But even for a casual player, you will be able to still get some decent rewards from just playing a few games a week in this game mode. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the rewards and how you get them. If you go to Onslaught, which will be found at the top, and then go into Onslaught game mode, and then you click your rank. If you've never played the game mode, it will say like qualification or something like that. So just click that and you'll be then taken to the Onslaught page. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the qualification battles. You may think that these are absolutely dumb and stupid because you've been put in iron rank. The problem is that it takes into consideration like 80% of what you did last season. So if you didn't play Onslaught last season, you are not going to get a very good or high qualification rank or rank after qualifications. So you could win all 10 games, you could have like 4,000 average damage, but if you didn't play qualification, or you didn't play the last season, then you won't get a very good rank after qualification ends. Just something to consider and keep in mind for people that are a bit confused over that. Once you're here, you can then go ahead and look at the left-hand side of your screen and you will see a load of different tabs. The first one is going to be rewards for ranks. This is what you get for reaching the highest point that you got in this season. So for example, if you reached champion and then you fell below it, you would still keep all of the champion rewards. So you would still keep the badge, you would still keep the Heavenly Horse Azure style until the start of the next season. At the start of the next season, all of this then goes away and you will then have to restart and get everything again, which really sucks. I'm not going to lie. It's really, really annoying. Because even if you really try-harded to get Legend and you only just got it, you would then have to do that for 3 seasons in a row just to get the Legend badge at the end for the annual rewards, which we'll come on to in a second. So whatever you reach as your highest possible rank, even if you got into Legend and then you fell back all the way down to say... So let's say, for example, you got to Legend and you somehow went all the way down to Iron, right? You would still keep your Legend badge until the start of the next season of Onslaught. Just so that you are aware, you will need to retain your rank in Legend if you want to keep the 50 bonds a day, as well as you will need to retain your rank in Champion to keep the 25 bonds a day. By default, you get 14 days grace period before such time as your ranking will drop. Also in Legend, keep that in mind, that you need to basically maintain going up in points, because Legend will keep rising in points as more and more people reach Legend and reach Champion and whatnot. The next tab down is your annual rewards. Now this can be a little bit confusing. I think the one that most people want to aim for is to get this Hurricane Gold Camouflage. You basically get a CS63 for free. The way that you get it is by collecting these Pegasus colors. Yes, Pegasus colors are what they're called. They're basically points. As you can see down here, you gain a certain amount of Pegasus colors depending on the rank that you reach in each season. So, for example, you will get 6 tokens. Let's call them tokens because Pegasus colors equals tokens for this video, okay? Because it is very confusing otherwise. So you will get 6 tokens for getting Legend in this season. However, you need to make sure that you are in Legend when this season ends. It is not based upon what your highest achievement was. So by the time the season ends, you need to be in Legend when that happens to gain the 6 tokens. And as you can see, each one of these is 3 tokens. So you would need to get 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 if you want to get the Legend rewards at the end of the whole seasons. So this means that you would need to get 6 tokens in each season to get the ultimate reward at the end. So you would need to be in Legend on the end of each season. So that's 3 seasons for 6 points. At the end, be in Legend. And then on the annual rewards, you would then get access to this at the end, which gives you, it's basically just a flare. There isn't anything else other than, like, realistically, the champion is the highest you could get for actual usable stuff. So, for example, you get bond equipment if you go to champion. For legend, it's literally just a badge and a flare icon, as well as another 2D style with maybe a medal. Yeah. So if you don't really care about lots of fancy stuff that you could then show off, just try and aim for either gold or champion. So for gold, you would only need to get 12 tokens, which you could do by getting into, say, champion twice, and then you go and get into bronze on your final one. Or you could just get gold 3 times in a row. So the main takeaways from this, the rewards for ranks, you do not keep. The only thing that you are going to completely keep is the annual rewards, which is whatever you get from this. Everybody will probably be trying to aim for gold to get the tank. And yes, you do get to keep this tank. It is just a CS63 reskinned. If you feel like that's worth your time, then do so. But for a lot of people, they will try and get to champion to try and get the extra piece of bond equipment, as well as, yeah, you get a nice little badge as well. Now that that's all out the way, if you're just a casual player that doesn't really care about the annual rewards or whatnot, and you just want to have, you know, just get some items just from playing the game modes, I don't know, once or twice a week or whatever. If you go down to the weekly missions, which is the fourth tab on the left-hand side, you will see your weekly missions for this week. It is, I believe, the same each week, I think. You have to be among the top 5 players by prestige points, then get 300 prestige points over any number of battles. That's just going to be requiring to play a few games. The same thing goes for causing 7,500 HP over any number of battles, and then getting the kills over any number of battles, and then win 2 games. The win 2 games one might be a little bit frustrating for some people, but if you keep doing these missions over and over again, you'll see that you do gain some nice rewards. You gain, obviously, the credits, some bonds, directives, and then you get this lucky dip token as well. And if you complete all 6 of these, so if you have been already completing these for each week, then at the end, you'll get a bond hardening and also another 2D style. Bearing in mind, this 2D style will be for whatever rank you reach at the end. I don't think you lose this style. I could be wrong, but I don't think that you lose this style at the end of each season. You have to let me know down in the comments if you do actually know about this, because it'd be kind of a little bit annoying, but at the same time, I mean, most people are just playing for the bond hardening anyway. Okay, now that we've spoken about all the rewards and depending on how much time you want to invest into the game mode, I should say, what you can get out of it, let's talk about the tanks. Now, I have put together a list of tanks here in the primary slots. Everything you see here works in Onslaught. If you're choosing something else, then... Bye, Tiggy. If you're choosing something else, then it's not as good of a pick. Now, I feel that in all of this, depending on the playstyle, you will find something that works for you. The CS63 is an absolute, like, insanely good tank to pick inside Onslaught. Now, I wouldn't recommend you choose anything other than this equipment for most tanks. For most tanks, HP Turbo Rammer, because you get the DPM, you need the mobility, and you need the HP. The HP is not so much the overall HP, it's for the actual track health. That is why people use HP boost. So for most tanks that you'll see, I'll be using HP Turbo Rammer because it is just the best inside a competitive aspect of the game. For certain maps, you can go ahead and use like the Gorilla 15 or even the STRV. You have to know what you're doing. If you're not a very good player, I would recommend you pick something from here that you feel comfortable with, and then just work your way up and just keep playing games until such time as you learn what everything kind of does and where people like to go. The first few games that you play, or maybe even the first 20 games that you play, might be absolutely awful, right? But if you're only playing as an average player just to get your weekly missions, you will eventually learn everything and it will become a lot easier. If you don't feel like you are a very good player, I'd probably recommend you go with like a 430U. The equipment loadout may seem very weird. But for Onslaught, there is massive amounts of module damage in this game mode. You can go without config. Yes, you can, and you can go with turbo. But for the 430U, it loves getting ammo rack and loves getting set on fire. So, yeah. And you need food. Like, in this game mode, you need food. You need anything that will boost your DPM or anything that will make you better than the opponent that you're playing against. So if you are brand new to the game mode and you still want to learn, I'd recommend E50M, 430U, S-Conk, CS if you have it, but it does take a little bit of a higher skill cap to actually learn how to play it on the maps. And probably T57 Heavy. Like, all of these are pretty decent choices for Onslaught. For Himmelsdorf and maps like that, you can pick your T57, or you can even pick your 430U. For maps like Westfield, you pick an S-Conk. Those selection of tanks are pretty versatile. Now, there is one thing here. The BZ75, it is a very, very good tank for Onslaught. However, it is riddled with module damage problems. So it's kind of annoying. And you need HP, you need turbo, and you need a rammer. So the 7v7 version is not very good because you can't use field mods. But if you have a BZ75 that isn't the 7v7 version, you can then pick the last field mod, which will actually increase the module durability of your tank. So then that works out quite well. Now, for people that are a little bit more knowledgeable about the game and know about 7v7 and how it all works and how Onslaught works in particular, you can pick any one of these tanks, right? To be honest, it doesn't matter what tank you pick if you're good at the game, because the player is far outweighing the tank in this game mode. If the player knows what they're doing, it won't matter what tank they're in, because they all get abilities, they all have their special abilities, which makes them pretty good in any situation. So for players that actually know what they're doing, you can pick like a gorilla on certain maps, because it will get an insanely high alpha damage of like 1.1k as long as it's not spotted, with also 0.01 dispersion. So yeah. And for other maps that actually you can use the STRV instead, that would be better than a gorilla. For example, Westfield would be better with an STRV rather than a gorilla. You can then pick the STRV, and that would get like 530 alpha damage with its quick reload time. So you would have insane DPM. So there's plenty of different ways that you can play. If you are very knowledgeable, then I'd still recommend you stick to, say, CS, TVP, S-Conk, maybe even like 50B and T57 Heavy. And if you do know how to play the mouse, then play the mouse, because the mouse has an insane amount of hit points and you can get a lot of damage done out of that. And also support your team massively, because it does get that hit point boost, or I should say health boost, to people within a radius as well. One thing I want to mention is the Foch B. The Foch B is completely dumb in this game mode. The thing is, with this tank, the ability allows it to have an engine boost for the first 8 seconds. And then after those 8 seconds ends, 10 seconds then happens where it gets 150 hit points restored. Plus, then, depending on the level, it will get either 85% of the hit points lost while the acceleration is active. So if you go into the battle and use your ability with acceleration for the 8 seconds, you then take a load of damage and then back off, and the hit points start regenerating. You can then regen 85% of your hit points that you just lost. So you could go in, clip someone for like 2.2k or whatever it is, and then run away, and whatever damage you took, you then get back. So yes, the Foch is a very, very viable choice. And a lot of people I see say no Foch or whatever at the lower ranks. They do not understand how powerful this thing is. I'm pretty sure there is still the guy that is doing Foch only. Yes, he has played 985 battles. Well, he is using a Jagdpanzer as well for this season. But yeah, as you can see, he has played 800 games and is 4th on the ratings points with 5,489 points at the moment. As you can see, last season, the year of the Griffin, he played 3,200 games in the Foch B. Yes, this thing works. So the final takeaways from this: if you're just an average player, just play a bit. Find a tank that works for you, enjoy it, or try to enjoy it, and just get the weekly missions done. If you are someone that wants to kind of invest their time into Onslaught, then go back and just look at the tanks, like obviously 430U, E50, and whatnot. Or if a tank works for you, then pick it, right? Just pick something that's comfy for you and that you're progressing with. And for players that are better than me, you can basically pick whatever tank you want, because let's be honest, it's the player and not really the tank at that point. Yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this made you get a little bit better understanding of the game mode. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it does will help me out. And I'll see you all in the next video.